was there any part of the visa process applying for it? Because I'm sure people are wondering. I got a lot of emails. I'm sure you did as well. Of people asking, "Hey, how did you get a visa? Like, was it hard, etc., etc."
Yeah.
If there's any advice you can give someone who's watching who wants to come to Japan, what would you say is like the main piece of advice if they want to get a working visa?
I mean, I didn't apply for a working visa.
Yeah.
But so I don't have too much
Yeah.
experience.
We didn't apply for it. We had
Yeah.
immigration lawyers help us.
Yeah, we had immigration lawyers help us, but I mean, I've applied for visas before, and
Yeah.
the most painful part is just waiting. It's
And you're going to be waiting a lot.
You're going to be waiting a long time, and you're just going to be in this limbo kind of.
Because we had it was like the initial thing where they file for something called a certificate of eligibility, which is basically if the government decides if you can have a visa, which isn't the visa itself, which already sounds to me like that sounds like we're adding steps where steps don't need to be. But yeah, as you move to Japan, you'll learn that's what they love to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had to wait. What was it? 6 weeks for that? 6 to 8 weeks?
Yeah,
it could have been 6 to 8 weeks for this piece of paper to arrive, which then they send by post, which makes you feel so uneasy because you're like, they're sending me a piece of paper through the mail that I've waited 2 months for, and you're just like, something's going to go wrong. Someone's going to take it. So you get this piece of paper, right? To get this thing, you need to prove that you have a good reason to work in Japan, that the job or you have to say what your work is.
Yeah.
That you need to check that you are actually like in that field, etc., etc.
Yeah, we had to send so much evidence that we were doing valuable work that could,
which I'm sure some people would argue YouTube isn't, but at the end of the day, if we bring in money to the government and pay taxes, it's valuable work, right?
Yeah, but basically just how many companies we've worked with, what work that's notable, that
and then why we need to be in Japan.
What it felt like was I was applying for a job. It was like here's all my achievements. Here's what I can bring for your country. Please,
let me play on your team, coach. Come on, let me. And then so we get that certificate of eligibility, which is we get that, and then you have to go to the embassy
to turn that into a visa, and then they'll put a visa into your passport.
Again, there's more steps because first of all, if you live in the UK, the only embassy is in London. Now, I would feel bad for someone who lives in the north of Scotland. I don't think they have an embassy in Scotland.
No.
And in Wales, I had to go all the way from Wales. Luckily, there's fast train, doesn't matter. But point is, one embassy, so you're going to be taking a day trip to get this thing. Worst part is that then if you go to the embassy, which you might have to have traveled cross country for, you have to wait 5 days to then actually get the visa, which is a little thing they just print out and staple in your passport.
So you have to go back to the embassy.
You have to go back, right? So I just went home because I'm like, I'm not staying in London for 5 days. Like, if you're poor, you haven't got much money and you can't, the train tickets in the UK are expensive, right? There's a lot of things where it's just like, my God, why are we doing this?
But then again, like realistically, how many people in like the buttfuck middle of Scotland is going to apply for a visa?
I bet there's one person from like the North Island and like Scotland who's like, dude, I had to fly. Fuck that shit.
If you are that one person watching, subscribe.
and to make matters even more stressful, you lost your passport.
I did.
You lost your passport.
We were meeting up at the embassy to collect our visas.
Yeah.
And this motherfucker
lost my passport.
lost his passport.
When I heard that story, I couldn't fucking believe it.
Oh my God, that was like one of the worst days of my life.
Like, you can't write that shit. Like,
no, it was horrible.
All because you didn't have a fucking backpack.
I carry my passport in my jeans pocket, which I'm hearing people are like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
I'm worst idea.
I'm like cringing hearing that, man. I'm like...
So, I've traveled like all over the world, just having my passport in my... Okay, I have lost it before, and you guys know I have. I lost it in America as well. I found it, though, luckily. But anyway, so I was going to the train station to pick up, go to the train, go to London.
Yeah.
And as my train arrived, I'm like, I always tap my pockets, right, just to make sure it's there. I tap my pockets. It's not in there. It's not in there. And I'm like, fuck. And what's running through my head is like all of this like months of work. I feel bad for the company. They paid for lawyers. Like all these people who have like banked on me coming, and I've put so much work into this myself and other people. And I was like having a mental breakdown. I don't think I've ever like had that much of a like quick mental breakdown in my life.
Yeah.
And
it's to be expected.
And it was like gradually getting worse. And like the hour I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
I scoured this train station, a tiny train station in Wales. It's called like Flint. You can look it up on. It's literally just like a platform.
Right.
There's nowhere this should have gone where I couldn't have found it. Right.
Yeah.
Could not find it.
Yeah.
Checked my car. Quickly drove home to find it. Didn't find it. Came back to check again. Couldn't find it. Going to the police station. Literally everything. I could not find.
You
my
have
passport.
no idea what happened.
I have no idea what happened to my passport. And then eventually it was getting like 3-4 p.m. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna just call up the British government and tell them, hey, can you just cancel my passport? I want to apply for another one. And that whole thing was an ordeal. And then my main concern was like, all right, well, I lost my passport. Do I have to restart the whole visa process again?
Yeah.
Luckily, the embassy were like, no, as long as you have like the certificate, which I didn't lose. Great. I could redo it. So
lucky fucker.
I had to scramble to get a new passport, and that was the whole thing. And I got one within like 5 days, luckily. And luckily, it all went well.
Yeah.
But like, it was just so stressful. On top of like already the stress that I was already at my limit with stress that whole period because of this whole thing.
Yeah.
And that was just like the full like I had a full breakdown that day. That was horrible. And I think I like joked about it on Twitter, but like I was like not okay that day.
Oh yeah.
No.
And the worst part is, right, is when you fuck up this badly, you can accept that you fucked up, but it's messaging your friends being like, hey, I'm not going to be in London in like 2 hours. They're like, oh, why? What's up? I'm like, I lost my passport.
No, because I remember reading that text. Because I was waiting for you outside the embassy when you were like, I get a message from Connor being like, I'm gonna be a bit like 30 minutes late.
Little did I know.
I was like, oh, all right, I'll get a coffee. And I see the event unfold as he's just texting me. So he goes, yeah, I can't find my passport. I'm just gonna go look for it quickly. And then it's just you like just breaking down every message, and it just ends with, yeah, I don't think I can come.
And I'm still annoyed to this day because I went around. This is a very small town where I lost it. I went around like every shop in that area. I asked literally everyone in that area, hey, if you find this passport, can you call me right away? Because if not, I'm gonna just cancel it today. I still never heard anything.
Yeah.
I was crazy, and I don't know how I lost it.
So, like, from your experience,
Yeah.
for anyone who's listening, if there's anything they need to know to make the process easier, what would you guys say?
Get a degree.
Yeah, a degree helps a lot,
Yeah.
especially if it's, you know, like...
Not an associate's, like a bachelor's degree.
Yeah, I think a lot of their forms didn't recognize associates. I think it actually said, like, specified, like, bachelors.
I don't think associates is a thing in Japan.
It's not a thing in the UK, I don't think.
Right?
Yeah,
it's not a thing in Japan, right? I mean, it is a thing, but like it's not like as heavily emphasized on as a bachelor's degree.
I saw a lot of people like asking like, oh, how did we get it, etc. Like you need to like have, especially with a country this strict, you need to have like concrete proof that like you can do something here. Like you can't just come here on a whim.
That you're worth something.
Unless you're like extremely rich and they want your tax money. Like I think that the only other reason, like you need some like
even
good
then
reason.
you need a degree for something.
Yeah.
Right?
They'll find a way to like.
Yeah, because then they'll be like, where are you getting this money from, bro?
Yeah.
And I imagine just having like a fair amount of experience in what you're doing and the reason you're coming here will help a ton. I mean, I can't talk about most, just what we went through.
Or basically just come here to teach English.
That is like the instant like get in button. Like,
Yeah, pretty much. It's like I can speak English and I can teach it somewhat. Then you're like,
I mean,
you're hired.
it's probably like not a bad way to if your goal ultimately is living in Japan forever. It's probably not a bad way to like transition into living here.
No, because
like,
I know a lot of friends personally who did start
Teach English
off with
and then-
teaching English and then gradually moved on to something else.
Because like you can gain by teaching English, you can gain connections in the country.
Yeah.
And then maybe that transitions to like a normal office job or something like that, or someone working with a company. You know, but if you just want to get your foot through the door, I think teaching English would be the easiest way for anyone to be able to do it, but you still need a degree.
Yeah, either way, you need a degree.
but they pretty much accept everyone on that, as far as I'm aware. As long as you, again, if you have a degree.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how good your high school essays were. If you don't have a degree in that, like,
Which is why I'm so glad to drop out of university.
Listen to your Asian parents. Go to uni if you want to go to
you
Japan.
guys all got degrees, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.